Hey everyone, this is an old friend from the military. His name is Pham, but we mostly just call him Pham.
Hey?
So basically, I figured I would just sit him down and he'll tell some interesting stories while we both eat.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, should have prepped some stories for that.
I'm sure you have plenty of stories.
Oh, yeah. Only one I can really think of off the top of my head is my story about hats, so that's not really much of a story per se. I don't know, I've never been a fan of hats. When I was much younger, I wore a baseball cap for about a year. It was mostly during the 4th grade, and it was okay at first, but after a while, the nastiness of the hat became unbearable, and I stopped wearing hats for a long time. I remember before I got in, I always saw my recruiter, Sergeant Seves, wearing his hat, and before when we'd go somewhere and he'd drive, before he got out of the car, he's always very careful about putting his hat on his head. I told him, "Oh, sir, no, that's fine." He was very insistent, so I thought, oh, maybe he just wants to look sharp. But yeah, I did not really realize that you needed to wear the hat until about 3 days into basic. TIs warned us, we better not see you walking around without your hat on. I realized, oh, actually,
It's a requirement.
yeah, you have to wear the hat.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, wow, this will be unpleasant. So yeah, put up with that for about 8 years. I'm out now. A lot of things I will miss, but one thing I won't miss is the hat.
Indeed. I was never a big hat wearer, but it just became a way of life. I remember when I finally got out of phase 1 in tech school, where you always have to be in uniform wherever you go. Phase 2, you actually wear like civilian clothes when you're not like on duty. It felt really weird to not wear a hat. So basically, I had very few clothes. So I put on some alternate PT shorts, an alternate PT shirt, and I took our base's hat, our squadron hat, which is like the 316 Sharks or something like that. I put the hat on before I left my room, and I felt okay being outside because I was wearing the hat. And I remember when I finally figured out that I don't have to wear a hat. It felt really weird for the first time walking around outside without a hat on. It was a very surreal experience.
It's very strange. I remember there have been some times, not quite so much recently, but in the past, where I've walked out in cities and so I'm feeling around my head, wondering, I'm missing something.
Missing your cover.
Yeah, but of course it's completely unnecessary when civilian clothes, but oh well, kind of the way of things.
Yep. So, is that all you have prepped or anything?
Yeah, I'm afraid so. I'm pretty bad about prepping.
Well, look, you've been out of the country for a while. You've been, Germany?
Yeah, I was at Korea first, and then went to Germany and traveled. Can't say I traveled much of Europe. I did travel quite a bit. Saw different sites in Germany as well as Switzerland, Belgium, France. Hit up certain parts of Italy as well as London.
Well, you certainly are well traveled. I hit up parts of Texas and Northern California. I was very well traveled.
Yeah, I still remember joining the military, and one of my goals to join the military was to get away from home. Came from SoCal, so left SoCal, went to NorCal. If I had not re-upped, that would have been it.
Yeah, I'm from SoCal, lived there my whole life, joined the Air Force, went to Texas for basic training in tech school, and then Northern California. That's what it was.
Kind of strange. A lot of people they join to leave home, and they end up not going very far, or they prefer to stay home, and congratulations on your assignment to Korea.
Yeah.
I don't know if they pick things like that intentionally or not. They say it's always for the needs of the Air Force, but I don't know. Sometimes it just seems very, very strange, very coincidental, perhaps too coincidental. I don't know if perhaps I'm just cynical. I don't know.
Well, I chose Beale for certain reasons that were very quickly not valid, which we're not going to here. But the assignment was extremely boring, but at the same time, it was comfortable. There was no excitement, which some people crave. Um, I'm not much of an excitement craving guy, so the assignment was it fit the bill, you know.
Well, depending on when you worked, sometimes things got exciting.
Yeah, if
So,
I'd been like at Travis, I mean, which wasn't that far away, I mean, I'm sure my experience would have been much different. It's a much larger base with more stuff around it.
yeah, but no, even at Beale, stuff did happen on occasion.
Let's hear some stories.
Here's some stories. I don't know if I can tell most of these stories, unfortunately.
Well, stuff that's not under the cloak of secrecy. Is there
Uh,
anything like that?
Yeah, let's see. I'm not sure if you remember this, but there's the spin-up for the surgeon Marget.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, not looked upon very well these days. I'm not sure if you recall that. That was we had guys working. What was it? 6 days a week, working 6 days a week.
I didn't do any of that. Is this when they had just opened the new building?
No, this was before that. The months before that.
I got switched back and forth from upstairs to downstairs around that period of time, so I don't think I was there for that. So if I wasn't, then I definitely dodged the bullet because I don't remember working for 6 days straight with 14-hour shifts.
Yeah, it was pretty horrible. I mean, I was very fortunate in that I didn't have to work. I was not one of those working the 6 days a week.
Thank you, lucky stars.
Yeah, I still worked. Though, yeah, I really felt for those guys who were stuck in that position where those analysts who had to work those 6-day weeks.
Yep. And something that hopefully you should know, but some of you don't, is that military is, you don't get paid by the hour. It's like a salary. You get paid X amount of dollars per month, and you can sit at home doing nothing if that's what they tell you to do, or they can work you to the bone. So there's no overtime. You work 6 days a week, 14 hours a day. You don't see an extra dime.
Yeah, in a way that's well, no, actually, that's very sad because there are people, there are people who work a great deal, and there are people who work a great deal more. Sometimes you talk to some of those maintainers or the security forces guys who are stuck working. You'll talk to them, and they'll say, "Yeah, I had 3 off days this month."
I want to talk about 3 off days a month. Talk about them when they were deployed.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I was lucky. I got a day off once a month.
Yeah. I mean, we laugh, but it's not really that funny. I really.
I honestly cannot imagine working for like 29 or 30 days straight. I mean, my mind would just fry. I would go crazy.
Yeah, yeah, the thing is, it's a tough job, but it's also one that needs to get done. Maintaining the planes, maintaining the security of our bases. Yeah, I don't know. I do not envy the toils those guys go through, but at the same time, I respect them for what they do. So.
Yeah, definitely.
But going back to the previous topic, there was some exciting stuff happening at Beale. Not sure if you remember the day. Don't remember the name of this event, but I think it was 9 French military men, servicemen died in one day.
Don't remember that.
As a result of terrorist attacks. Yeah, that was Afghanistan, if memory serves right. But no, that was actually kind of active.
Was I still there?
No, you were definitely there.
All right.
I mean,
I can only remember the time that they found those individuals in the car. The trunk was inside the car was like a detailed map of the Beale base, and the trunk was filled with like all these weapons, and I think they found like an RPG in there and stuff.
oh, yeah.
You don't remember that?
No, I don't.
I remember that. That was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And I'm sure security forces earn their paycheck next couple of weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, no, the more, I can, there are things I can remember, but yet I also remember I can't talk about them, so. Yeah,
Well,
something kind of problematic about the job we do, if you have things to talk about,
hmm
you aren't really supposed to talk about them, it's,
some stuff is exciting and you can't mention it. I mean, there's some stuff
and I
that
can go into why you shouldn't talk about it, but of course I would tell you why, tell you what it is.
it is just security of people on the ground in theater or reconnaissance platforms in theater.
Yeah.
You can't really say much about it. So our job, at least my job, was largely unnoticed and unthanked. We just worked in the shadows.
Hmm.
Came into work, worked 12, 14 hours a day, went home, collected our paycheck, never recognized. It's a lot of boo-hoo kind of stuff that a lot of people will say, but sometimes you put in all that effort, you would like some recognition. You would like some thanks because, the people that fly the planes, they get lots of attention because they're right up front. But someone that does a job like we do, where we're not supposed to talk about it, we work late at night, tucked away in bomb-proof buildings with no windows and one access point. You're just like one of the unsung heroes, so to speak, that just you never get recognized, and so
But,
you toil,
sorry, no.
you toil on, and no one ever says, "Hey, great job, keep up the good work." I'd like to recognize you for all the time and effort you put into your job. It just hardly ever happens, if ever.
Well, I disagree with you on that to some extent, anyway.
Mm-hmm.
One could say our efforts are thankless, and there's some validity to that. Sometimes what we do. How much do I want to get into this? Like I mentioned earlier, both the maintainers and security forces guys, they end up working much longer hours than we do,
Mm-hmm.
and they really, for the most part, receive just as much thanks as we do, which is just the paycheck, which really sucks for them. There's a lot I can complain about, but I feel so there's a lot where we have to be thankful for as well. So yeah, I don't know.
I will say that our shop, our work area, and the people we work with, we didn't socialize outside of work. Now look at the security forces guys, the maintainer guys. I know that they hung out with each other all the time. There was parties at someone's house like every weekend. They really lived it up. They enjoyed it. Their job and their lives and hanging out with each other. But our kind of line of work, it was go into work 12, 13, 14, even 15 hours a day, however long it takes to get that job done, and then go away. I just want to go home, and I don't want to be bothered seeing anyone else. So there's no real camaraderie.
Well, it really that's really situational. Um, sometimes sometimes you have whole teams of people working together, and as a result, they have the same off time. They see each other at work all the time. As a result, they end up forming groups with each other inside those units. If you move around a lot, of course, that makes it more problematic to join the said circles. But at the same time, for those who reach relatively stable positions, it's much easier for them to bond together in that manner that you mentioned with the security forces guys and the maintainers.
The security forces guys, they're pretty much like they're all there working towards the same goal. They have this mission. They do it. Same thing with the maintainer guys. You all get together. They say, okay, we're working on this aircraft for this half of the day, that aircraft for the other half of the day. So they get to work and they can shoot the breeze while they're working. With us, there's keep the chatter down. Everyone's divided in their own sections. I mean, I was, E-lints, then we have, our other ints, they're all divided into their own sections. You're not supposed to wander around and talk to other people. You're supposed to sit there, stare at the computer, and just do your job, and that's it. So, while other people could socialize on the job, we really couldn't.
Mm-hmm. Well, again, that's kind of situational. If you were, let's say if we want to, we'll talk about a maintenance shop here. If the maintenance shop was getting work done with talking, then they'd probably be okay with talking. If they were not getting work done and they perceived that was due to socializing, I might imagine things would be much more strict. In our work conditions, perhaps sometimes it was a matter of the people in charge perceiving socialization on the job socialization as negatively impacting the quality of work. At the same time, though, one has to wonder about that sometimes. Not being able to talk other than just work speak, that may impact morale. Wouldn't that also impact quality of work as well? So yeah, I don't know. I was not. I did not make staff until after I left Beale. I was never in that position where I would have to make that determination. I was, in a way, I was glad I was not in the position where I had to do that.
Mm-hmm. It's tough being, you're in an underling position, then you get promoted, and suddenly you're in a leadership position. You're suddenly supposed to be, someone who's supposed to, keep the peace and lay down the law. Suddenly, if you're still where you were, people are just gonna say, oh, he's power hungry, he's on a power trip. So you would have to go somewhere else for that to really be effective, because you would be coming in as a staff sergeant, someone who's in charge, not just someone who is like a airman first class and then promoted to senior airman, then finally promoted to staff sergeant. But like again with the socializing thing, other shops would have they would all be Air Force permanent personnel. I know that like in Intel around the time that I left, there was somewhere between 40 to 60% of the personnel there were all guard, gathered from 2 separate states. So they had different backgrounds, and they were just brought into this one workplace. And I mean, they're not there to socialize. They don't have lives there at Beale or in California. They're just there to do a job and then go back to wherever it is they're staying, in some hotel or apartment or whatever. Their real home is back in like Montana or Oklahoma or something like that. That's where their lives are. So there's no socializing going on there, because all they want to do is just get the job done, go back to wherever it is they're staying, because that's all they know here.
Well, again, that comes down to specific circumstances and one's one's work conditions in general. I remember, and my side of the house, they'd have paintball. They'd have paintball weekends where pretty much everyone who was available would be gathered up and go play paintball. Of course, it would just be everyone off shift. I was always on shift for said paintball events, which I was like, whatever. But I knew a number of people who were very unhappy about that, because they were also always on shift for these paintball days.
I feel left out.
Yeah.
I mean, I never did any of that stuff.
But
there was I know there was the combat dining out that I never got into. I was never there.
Yeah, I never made it for the combat dining out either.
Do you know what combat dining out is? Have you been to any of them?
Yeah, I was I've been to
more than one.
Yeah.
All right, so why don't you go? Since I never went, I only know what people have told me. How about you explain to the people watching at home what combat dining out is?
Oh, well, it's something of a work dinner, but it's informal in a sense. You're supposed to arrive in uniform, but I guess it's best described as a big food fight. You show up with squirt guns or.
And some of the squirt guns that people had were homemade freaking monsters that were little more than just giant tanks of water that would push out as much as they possibly could at people.
Yeah. But yeah, it's best described as just one big food fight. Yeah, whole point of it is to for you to meet leadership and to build camaraderie between you and your coworkers.
That stuff only happened to the shops upstairs. They never did that downstairs. The only reason I know about it is because I was stuck upstairs now and then, you know? So I know about combat dining out, but I never got invited, and I never went.
Well, you know, it wasn't that it was strictly for the people upstairs. It's just that the people upstairs had the more flexible schedules that would allow them to attend these things. I did know people who worked 12s who were able to attend these events just because their schedules worked out in such a manner that they could attend.
Mm. And speaking about, stuff that would work out, I remember like downstairs in the vans, you're working real world missions. It's not like you can say, okay, we're done with our work upstairs. Now we're going to take our 1 week Christmas vacation, or work. Christmas is off. Combat still happens in theater on Christmas, and so we would have to work all those days. There was no holidays. That's why holidays are such a foreign concept to me, even to this day, having been out for like 3 years. Holidays are just another day. They're just another work day. So I remember when we were downstairs, there would be lots. You would draw lots, or one person would just have the option of choosing. One crew would work the Christmas shift, meaning they worked these days, one of them falling on Christmas, and then the other crew would work the New Year's shift. So they would work those days, including New Year's. So you'd either have Christmas off or New Year's off. There's no way you could have both, unless you were like me, and you would take leave around that time every year. I was just lucky enough that I never had to work either Christmas or New Year. I was always off. So that was like a little miracle there.
Or if you happen to be one of those fortunate members who are not in a 24-hour position, in which case you get both off.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, well, I don't know who like downstairs would be able to do that.
Well, obviously, when people wouldn't be people working, the 12-hour shifts, because they're working 24-hour positions. Those need to be manned all the time. I felt as though there's a plus and minus to working those positions. On the one hand, you really lose out in free time. You see people taking like weekends and holidays, and they're hey, I'm off today. It's so great. And, you're stuck there working 12-hour shift, just like every other work day.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, though, I don't know. It's working those 24-hour positions. I know that I'm working an important job. This job must be manned at all times because it's that important. It's that critical. Maybe it's not critical, but no.
Well, still, I mean, you got an idea how critical your jobs were if you were working a job that included a live feed. Myself, I was just watching a live feed of an icon of a ship, putting around slowly in theater. So I just got to watch a simple, graphic of this happening. It wasn't even.
But everything is important.
Well, it is important, but you get a greater sense of how important it is and how live it is when you're working like the live feed stations, like I did for a few months when I was working Global Hawk and Predator. I mean, that's when you see like the actual live feeds of stuff happening as it's happening in theater. Then you get like greater sense of I'm actually doing something. I'm actually making an impact. I'm actually doing a job that is helping someone, helping our fellow soldiers. When I got so much job satisfaction, I was doing that job for those few months. Then out of all my other stuff doing ELINT combined, just those few months, because I knew I was actually doing something important. Because at the end of the day, I'm like, hey, we saved these people, and we stopped this from happening. Whereas in ELINT, I would just say, oh, okay, this is what I did today. Here you go, and it's just like a bunch of lines of code that you have to know the code to decipher. This was the result of my work.
I'm gonna say this. Both the jobs you described are actually very, very important. I don't want to go into why because of current situation, but both are very important. That being said, I guess I would agree with you that being able to conceptualize the importance of the video feed is much easier, much more straightforward than your normal work.
Yep. Well, like I've said before on my past videos, that basically by the time that I got trained up and was downstairs doing actual missions, they had the United States forces and allies had gone in and blown up 96% of the stuff that we were supposed to be looking for that could be a threat. So mostly it was just saying, oh look, there is that same thing down here, there's the same thing up here, here's this one thing down here. We just picked up a bunch of junk that had like no threat whatsoever. So it is important, but at the same time it's hard to see how important it is when you're essentially doing the same stuff over and over again. The Predator will fly like a different mission each day, but our reconnaissance aircraft circled over the same places in theater every day, taking pretty much the same path. There was there's just a few preset paths, and just follow those, so you could expect what to pick up and when you were going to pick it up.
Well, let's make an analogy for a moment.
Mm-hmm.
The gate guards at Beale. You really don't see too many threats to Beale. I imagine those gate guards. The job is fairly repetitive. They don't really see hostile threats on a regular basis. Granted, those gate guards, not the contractors, mind you, just, okay, actually, I should have specified, excuse me.
They're more or less contractors.
No, the gate guards are contractors.
Yeah, I know.
No, the security forces guys at Beale, for the most part, they don't really deal with hostile threats. They're not, there isn't someone trying to attack the base on a regular basis. They don't, just doesn't happen, But at the same time, their job is very important. Even if no one's out there, maintaining the security of the base is that important. So, in that same sense, I would say your job is very important.
I know, but at the same time, I would like to argue that my stuff was the same thing every day, every week, every month, every year. While the security forces guys are supposed to be shipped out to theater every 6 months.
Yeah.
That's statistically how it happens. They're 6 months stateside, 6 months in theater. And so, honestly, when someone says, "Oh, so what can you remember about your Air Force experience?" most of the stuff I can really remember that is interesting are just bits and pieces of something that might have happened here or there. But lots of it, the same thing every day, every week, every month for years. That time is just run together. I don't have memories of specific days. Just like, this is what I was doing for these stretch of months or these stretch of years. There's nothing specific. It all just runs together because it's all the same thing. Your job was a bit different from mine. We didn't work in the same field. It was just intel. I don't know how yours was.
It'd be very easy for me to overtalk the importance of my position. It'd be very easy for me to undertalk it as well, though.
Well, you can do that with just about
anything,
job.
Or just anything really.
You could say that someone is a burger flipper, or you could say that they're the bovine smelting technician specialist.
Yeah, that's true with just about anything.
Okay, well.
I would not. Those guys, those security forces guys, they do deploy on a regular basis, but at the same time, that deployment is important. But at the same time, I do not envy them for that. It's.
No, I do not envy them for that. My job was more or less a cushy job. It was a very boring job, but it was a rather cushy job. Which
I will say this though, having spent 8 years in, I did not deploy, not once. There were times in which my work did impact guys on the ground in a very big way, but for the most part, just looking back on things, if someone asks me where I served, oh, I served in Northern California and in Korea and Germany. Oh, did you serve in Iraq or Afghanistan? No. Did you serve anywhere in the Middle East? No. And it's not to say that I did not do important things, but at the same time, I feel as though I didn't really carry my fair share. Now that I'm out, I don't know. I'm a contractor, or if I get in the Guard Reserve, I may deploy that way. But unless I do that, for the most part, the opportunities to deploy are done with. And I don't regret what I do. I'm proud of what I've done, but at the same time, there's almost a certain sense of shame in the fact that I did not. I didn't carry my share of the burden.
Well, some people are meant to carry burdens their own way. I mean, my job was technically defined as deployed in place. We worked with people that were in theater. When I say in theater, I mean, they were stationed somewhere in the Middle East. We worked directly with them. We could, some people, they were talking directly to them over the phone, over the radio. We were getting live feeds from over there. So we were deployed, but in place, not in theater. So, I mean, we if you really want to think about it that way, we kind of, we did our fair share. I mean, if someone wasn't doing an Overwatch on, one of the, one of like a Predator, a Reaper, Global Hawk, something like that, I mean, some people might not have spotted those ambushes or spotted those planted IEDs. I mean, I remember when I was working Predator, we found like so many IEDs that just from their heat signatures and stuff. I mean, we found stuff that bomb disposal crews were then able to go and take care of, and those IEDs ended up not killing servicemen.
I will say this. The work we get is the work we were given. I remember I was actually slotted to be a linguist originally, and that didn't pan out. I was not learning Korean fast enough, and so they said, choose 5 jobs. And so, chose 5 jobs, my list of so many, and afterwards said, congratulations, you're a briefer. And I said, oh, great, thanks, but that wasn't one of my 5.
Really? Are you
No.
serious?
Yes, I'm very serious. I picked 5, and they didn't give me any of them. Maybe they went, oh, okay, we're not going to give them any of these. But, that's just kind of the way of things, So I got this job, and actually it was one that I kind of questioned my validity of working in that field for the longest time, because one of the requirements of the reefer position was color vision, which I did not have. The Air Force knew this for a fact. I did not have color vision. I failed both the basic color vision test and the Phalant color vision test, where it's like, okay, can you tell the difference between a green light, a red light, and a white light?
Really, you failed that?
I failed that.
I had, when I went to MEPs, they tested me. I had slight color blindness. Those circles with the colored dots, and you're supposed to be able to see numbers or something like that. I was able to see maybe a quarter of the cards I was shown.
Yeah.
But they presented me with a list and said, okay, essentially you can do this intel job, or you can work in construction.
Oh,
really? I wonder what I'll choose. Yeah.
No, I don't know if that's changed since, but at that time, people in my career field could not, they were required to have color vision, and they selected me for that particular field. I thought, this is really bizarre, and I don't know, I kind of had this plan in the back of my head this whole time, thinking, okay, if it ever ends up I don't enjoy this job, I can just tell the Air Force, hey, you know what, I'm actually not qualified to do this job, you guys need to reclass me again, which of course, it doesn't happen. If I need to be reclassed again, they just get me out. Though I didn't realize that at the time. But, I did the job, and I remember thinking about this after like my first year deal, and I realized something after. I thought, after about a year of doing this job, they probably won't accept that I'm not qualified to do the job. What will probably happen, if I bring up, oh, hey, I'm actually not physically qualified to do this job, they'll go, oh, really? Well, you've been doing it for the past year. Tell you what, I will just sign this waiver for you, saying that you are okay to do the job, because obviously you've been doing just fine for the past year.
Yeah. Did you ever run into any problems?
Yeah, actually, I'd frequently miscolor things in briefings.
Really?
Which was a big problem when it came to classifications.
Yeah.
There'd be stuff like, who the heck made this text orange?
Anyway, it was supposed to be red or something?
No, it's supposed to be green.
I can't say I'm that colorblind.
Yeah.
Luckily.
Yeah. And you know what? I can tell the difference between. I can still see reds. I can still see greens, but sometimes it gets very close, and I have trouble.
All right. You have any stories of just stuff that happened overseas, like in Korea or Germany? Any non-military, just interesting things that happened, or no?
Not that I can really recount off the top of my head. I mean, things did happen. I was in Korea for a year. I was in Germany for 2. No, I can't really remember anything right off the top of my head.
Nothing interesting?
Yeah, not right now, anyway.
All right.
I probably should have prepped that as opposed to the hat thing, which lasted, 10 seconds, 20 seconds?
Something like that. Well, anyways, hope you enjoyed joining us for this. Check back again for future videos, and this is me. I'm signing out. Alright. This ran for probably 3 minutes. 37. And the battery's almost dead.